Cool. Sweet. All right, we'll get started with GU. Been kicked out. Oh no. I get the boot sometimes as well, bro. I get banished to the dining room, so I feel ya. Sweet. All right. Monday, GU. All right. Cool, cool, cool. So positioning, obviously, momentum was bullish, but we had taken a bit of retest here, which you could call retest of like this external break there. Oops, I didn't mean to do that arrow. But yeah, we'd taken that retest. So obviously, being bullish, we're at a new high at this point coming into the week, taking some liquidity. So of course, we can expect a bit of a sell-off to start the week. So coming into it, obviously, what we had taken. You can look at this in two ways. You can look at it in as in this is the high that took Asia high, or you can be just very literal with it and say that it's the high that took the high that took Asia high. So depending on how you want to view it, but either way, taken Asia high, taken really good liquidity, come down, mitigated this area here, which you can say is a bit of a supply to demand area, but obviously it's got no liquidity into it. We've got no liquidity to target, and we're coming off the back of an inducement. So just looking to utilize this area as a smart money trap, to have a bit of a sell off. Got a bit of a build up down across here as well. So looking quite good in that sense. And quite a nice demand to be able to target there. So using this as a smart money trap to be able to sell through was really clean to start the week. But just no entry inside of there. I believe it just ripped straight through. Yeah, I had a little bit of a push to the upside here. Very, very, very dodgy internal break to be able to obviously have that as a buyer's trap. If you were to use that as a buyer's trap, you could have looked to have something like that set if you take it without retest. To me, I would have had to have it set off the retest, but that's just not enough of a break for me personally. But either way, you would have ended up taking a break even on that if you did take that just single break entry on that there. Took some from there. I went aggressive. Yeah. 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 No, that's fair. If you're looking for a sell from there, just seen Brad's message. So, oh, yeah, sweet. Yeah, cool. Yeah, if you took anything inside there, that's very, very fair. Super clean spot, super clean spot. Made perfect sense just to use it as a retracement setup, or at the very least, obviously, if we do continue just selling off like this did here, we wouldn't expect this to hold. But at the minimum, targeting that, potentially even targeting those HL lows was, yeah, really, really clean. So, no, very fair spot to look for a setup. Obviously, a sell that is not a buy. If it was a buy, different story. Cool. Why is that? Yeah, sweet. So this area for New York, so this is a valid area, but it's dependent on your rules, which is why I've got context written there. So really good inducement, and obviously the inducement just before timing. So that's sweet. Um, Obviously, it's been a bullish market. That's our first big break to the downside. So you can still say at this point we're following with momentum. But if we're reading intraday momentum, yes, we're looking for a New York reversal, and this fits the New York reversal setup really, really nicely. But the issue with this, and the reason that I don't see it as like it's a valid area, but not somewhere I'd look to take a trade from because of the rest of the context, we've got nothing to be able to target here. So like you've got this little point here, but let's be honest, like it's not really anything. Like it's not like a liquidity target, you know what I mean? Like it's not even a demand to supply or anything like that. So yes, it's a great area to be able to get a reversal from, but in terms of targeting, you just got nothing there. So there's nothing to be able to use as that magnet for price to be able to obviously take a setup with confidence. So valid area, no entry, but yeah, not somewhere where we want to be looking given the context anyway. That makes sense. Cool. Um, Sweet. And then Tuesday. This was really clean pre-session, so it's really annoying that we didn't get this in timing. There was no entry out of here anyway, but obviously you've got that break, supply, demand, retest, build up, Asia low, a low outside of Asia low. It's just such a clean area for a buy. But obviously nothing there, and that was pre-timing, like well pre-timing anyway. 15 minutes. Yeah, bro, it was fucking spot on, eh? Like, yeah, 15 minutes pre-Frankfurt. Like that's just So early for a setup. Coming into the session, we were looking inside of this supply area for a sell. Just obviously understanding we've had that major inducement, got that break to the downside, starting to generate some liquidity across here. This point is a demand to supply area that has taken some internal liquidity. So we were looking at it as an area to be able to sell from, but to be honest, we probably shouldn't have been. Reason for that is we've got no inducement into the mitigation. Obviously, you've got break, retest here. We never actually got like any sort of like breakdown to obviously have those sellers taking that into the mitigation of it. And we've got no like significant retest here. We've got no significant retest here. Like that's technically the retest of that, which has already just been just abused. You get a little breakdown here, but if we consider this as the inducement into the mitigation, just the gap between it, it's not really an inducement into a mitigation. It's an inducement and then a mitigation. Like they're two separate pieces of price action rather than in the one combination of price. So like it would have been valid to have a bit of a sell-off from there, but if we just understand follow-on long inducements, breaks, we're inducing in to the downside and breaking to the upside, and we've got nothing that we're manipulating into the mitigation of that. So we probably shouldn't have been looking for sells there, even though it is a valid supply. And the other side of it as well is once we hear, we don't really have a whole lot to target. It's not too bad in the sense that you've got a little bit of retest here. We've got a bit of retest and equal low sitting there. So it's not too bad, but definitely not a whole lot to be able to work with, kind of clutching at straws. And yeah, with the fact that we didn't have that inducement into it, we really shouldn't have been looking. So if we had taken a loss there, that would have been a very avoidable loss to take. So yeah, kind of glad nothing set up in there, but yeah, invalid spot. The valid area was obviously down here. And then for New York, it was news. We obviously had that PPI, I believe it was on Tuesday. If it wasn't PPI, it would have been a great spot here to be able to look for a sell. Obviously, you got that break to the downside. Yes, it is into a mitigation, and yes, obviously, we are bullish. Sort of externally at that point in time. Um, so, it is going against momentum, but it does take out a lot of sellers from inside this area. So it would have been valid, but obviously news did its thing. Cool. All right. Same sort of thing again. Against momentum, but what we've got 15 minutes per leg, and we've got a bit of a liquidity build up. So we've got targets. We've got the high outside of Asia high. So we're taking Asia high. And then obviously that medium inducement there. So great spot here to be able to look for a sell, but obviously just that momentum was way too strong and just absolutely rocketed through it. So needless to say, there was nothing in there, even as a fake out sort of entry. So nothing there to worry about. But just that 15-minute two-leg inducement's really clean. Now this spot was interesting. So there wasn't an entry here, but if we actually look at the area, it's actually really clean. Um, Extreme of that, bigger leg there. Obviously, the retracement's been fairly slow, not too slow, but fairly slow, building up good liquidity higher time frame wise. This point here is taken a really nice demand to supply area, really good inducement. And we've also got that demand to supply inducement into the mitigation. So and obviously it's quite close, the inducement and mitigation as well. So we can definitely consider that and inducement into mitigation. So that's really, really clean. Manipulation out of that, we were very aggressive up to it, but the minute we got there, we started to slow down. Got that smaller 15-minute break to the downside here. So then just after our timing window, we've pulled up, taken out all these sellers here. I wouldn't want to be looking to buy from it down here or anything, just because of the fact that this is such a strong mitigation. And we don't have a whole lot to be able to target for buys. We didn't for sells, but at least we've got that really strong mitigation on our side and we're not fighting that potential completion of the structure cycle. So waiting to take out all the sellers from this area up in here was really clean, but yeah, it just didn't set up anything. I don't believe. can have another look, but yeah, nah, that's obviously a break point there, and she's just gone. So obviously selling when we get big sell-offs like that as well, we generally know that I'm not holding, so nothing there, but clean area nonetheless. And that you would have just been targeting that low. Just really, really simple. If you could have got your 1 to 3 to that low in a setup, if unpresented, it would have been very worth it. Cool. All right. Moving on. Got that major inducement here. So that's cool. Confirmation of more or less price now pushing bullish. You've got this supply to demand area sitting here, or you can mark it out obviously more or less like that, however you want to view it. So you got that smaller internal supply to demand. You've also got the bigger supply um, to demand. You can use that point, or you can use that point, either, or both, obviously. But in terms of timing and in terms of what we've got positioning in relation to Asia structure, one, you've got the low that's taken Asia here. Two, if we look at the next piece of structure pre-Asia, it's that point there. So looking to be able to utilize that area as our inducement to be able to follow with that bullish momentum, obviously bringing in good sellers as well off the back of that major inducement. Got a bit of liquidity. We can target at the top up there. So great to be able to utilize that as an area to be able to buy from. Now, I know Brad took a sell up inside of here. The reason I didn't take anything there and wasn't open to looking for sells was I'll actually pull it up. Is that on the same day? Yeah. Yeah. So EU was in a really, really good demand, and had taken really good liquidity into the mitigation of that demand. So the divergence there just didn't make sense to look for a sell. So that's what I was waiting out for the buy, and yeah, no entry presented on the buy. So all good. You could have continued to use this area as well. You could even use that whole leg there. There's a smart money trap area. Try to look for a buy. I believe Cal might have taken this entry. Cal's not on, is he? No. Believe Cal might have taken a buy down inside of here. I'm pretty sure he did actually. Or he might have tried to get in it or didn't get in it. But I'm pretty sure he tried to catch that, which is fair, just a bit too out of timing. For me, I've got a half an hour window that I allow, but obviously not being able to catch a buy down here, using this point, understanding that you've got good inducement, liquidity sitting up above, obviously looking to follow through and target that. But yeah, not there for me personally. A clean area, very clean area. Cool. New York news had that couple of weird bits of news there, which was annoying. So we'll just skim straight over that. Cool. All right. So this is where it was a little bit interesting. Valid area for break even. So there's a couple of different ways you could have gone about getting into this. There was three different entries, I believe. So I'll go over all three of them. But in terms of the area, obviously, we know we've got that major inducement starting to sell off a bit here now. Got a couple of smaller 15-minute breaks. Really, really shitty, typical smart money range, just dead straight range, but building up really nice liquidity underneath down there to target along the bottom and then also up across there like that as well. So looking really good. Taking that higher medium inducement on timing, so just absolutely spot on. Can't ask for much more than that, like literally just fucking spot on. In terms of the first entry, definitely a bit aggressive for my liking and my risk appetite, but this is the entry that Brad took. So Brad had one break and then two breaks. So he had something like that set, I believe. I know he covered the high, but I can't remember if he went off the break or the mitigation. Um, but you had that as your first potential entry, obviously targeting. You'd at least be targeting the Asia lows with that, or even just the complete low down the bottom, either. Perfectly fine. So you've got that as your first option. The second option that you've got is what I had as my break. So you've got two leg internal inducement break. So I'm happy to take a two leg into a break off a medium inducement. So you've got that option. But for me, had it invalidated the minute that it hit this demand because of the fact that on the break I've got no retest or anything. So this could push quite high up, could have even come up and taken out that high and then had a bit of a sell-off, or taken out that high. But for me, what I was looking for off the back of this was to just get some sort of good setup inside of that leg, once I've confirmed this point's a smart money trap. So that was valid to have that set once you broke, just until you got to there. And then following what you had internally, took ages to step up. So at that point, we're confirming the smart money trap, building up liquidity as well, which is great. Obviously, then price action kind of went to shit for a minute. Had a little bit of a push down, induced some sellers, kind of more or less did a two leg, induced obviously those sellers there, brought in some buyers, and then you get that little break and retest. So for me, I was looking, I was trying to get an EU at the time, had EU set just before this, but I wanted it to come up a little bit higher, give me a bit better retest, and I had that set. Obviously, extra confirmation inside the range, post confirmation of the smart money trap. But yeah, obviously just melted. But a couple of different ways you could have gone into that. You could have, depending on your like risk appetite, you could have held and had that set. But yeah, she's a bit dicey. When you get those two legs into a break, you want to be in them really, really nice and quick. So yeah, obviously you could have taken that. The other option for this as well with Brad's entry is you could have viewed that as retest, because obviously it is more or less retest off that break. So you could have also had that set. Other options really perfectly fine. Just depends on your risk appetite and how aggressive you want to be with your breaks. And then obviously she ends up reversing as soon as it took that low. You can obviously view this as break, retest, induce retest, look for a buy. But to me, the reason I didn't feel it like that is if we go liquidity versus liquidity, we can just see that what's been taken here compared to what's been induced here, you can see they're kind of just on different levels. So I wasn't viewing it that way personally. But if you were viewing it that way, it is very, very fair. But yeah, very clean price action in there. A few different ways to dissect that. And then obviously we had news all around here, so nothing we can work with. If we didn't have news, this would have been quite a nice supply to better look for a sell from. Got that inducement low, good build up of liquidity, obviously all the way across there and up there as well. So yeah, quite nice. But news ruined that. So in terms of GU, if you're trading just confirmations, which is obviously the way that me and my analytical brain trade. Just had that one set up inside there to be able to take as a break even. So good price action on GU, but yeah, just typical August price action. Kind of a little bit all over the shop, not a lot of volume, so news really fucking whacks it. But yeah, low volume in terms of entries. Any questions or anything, fellas? Before I move on to EU? No, sorry. Cool. Sweet, sweet. Give us a sec. All right, EU. Oh, sweet. Wicked, wicked. Fucking EU. I don't like this time of year. It's the worst time of year to trade. Sweet. So we'll start her off. Just a quick reminder on the hourly. Obviously, fucking bullish. Complex pullback. Really starting to slow down. Can't see much there because all those drawings. And to figure out that fucking time frame thing. Um, just below a daily supply. So we had a bigger daily supply, which is that whole leg there. So just sitting below that, obviously expecting to come into that throughout the week. Current price action, we had a really nice range break, retest, complete mitigation, starting to work our way down, generating really good liquidity sitting across here. So we had that trend line running across there like that. Cool. So coming into Monday throughout Asia, obviously pulled up really good inducements, generation of more liquidity. We had a very nice um, smart money trap area just straight up the top up here to be able to utilize coming into the session. This is obviously what we were looking at on the pre-market outlook where Brad ended up taking his 5 minute setup. So you had that two leg and break out of that demand. Obviously then broken low. I don't really know where Brad got in. But given retest versus size of the range, we can see that they just don't correlate at all. So was again looking for price to be able to come up and just show me something inside this leg to be able to reconfirm sellers in control. I'm going to say Brad's entry was probably post 5 minutes um, close. So he probably got in somewhere like there, I would say. But I won't go too far over that. I'm sure he'll do a case study on that one, more than likely. Yeah, I know he uses 5 minute candle close. So it probably would have been that after we got that close there, I'm gonna say. But yeah, obviously nothing out of there on the 1 minute and it is pre-session. So we won't go too far over that. And then this area here, so obviously shitty demand. Yes, it's taken a little bit of liquidity here, but we got no inducements into it. It's so clearly against structure cycle. Like this is one of the things I love about EU is when it gets in its structure cycles, it is just so fucking clean. Like you can't deny it as a structure cycle. It is just picture perfect. But it was a little bit annoying in the sense that we had started to sweep this trend line as we come down into that demand. So started to invalidate it for me straight off the bat. You can run a trend line along here like this, but I try to not sort of go trying to find things. I like to be able to use them from the point of where we're actually getting our retracement from. So started to sweep that, so we're starting to get that inducement there. And then I've got a half an hour window would I allow my entries either side pre-session, post-session to be able to catch a setup. So that's pretty much the end of my session there. So nothing for me to be able to work with. But if you wanted to hang around and you ignore the trend line take, you hang around for another half an hour, you do get quite a nice entry. So just simple two breaks. One, two. It's quite annoying. Yeah, just one of those things. One of those things. Considered after looking at that, I was like, oh fuck, maybe I should look at taking them that far out. But you gotta with continuations, you could take them fucking all hours of the day. So you gotta have some sort of restriction. But yeah, that was really clean. You could have held that to the low for a 1 to 8.3. You could have partialed along the way. There was heaps and heaps of options. Could have closed around here when GU medium induced as well. So yeah, if you do trade that far post session, that would have been really, really clean. You just have to ignore the start of the break at the trend line and yeah, the um the timing of it. Then for New York. So New York's in a good spot. So obviously, if we understand structure cycle, we know that this demand area is not going to hold. The issues with trying to continue selling from here, though, is we've obviously just taken so much liquidity and GU medium induced. So the divergence straight away invalidates it for me. But yeah, taking so much liquidity. So even though based on the rules structure cycle that it should sell off, we yeah, got to follow along with the liquidity that's been taken and yeah, not enough to be able to work with there. So that's why I've got it marked as an invalid area. Sweet. All right, following on to the next day, got the inducement of that point there, which was retest of the external break. So really, really good inducement. Obviously, generated a bit of liquidity on that pullback. We do have this, as we know, demand to supply area. Already more or less confirmed that area as a smart money trap as we've pushed up. So that's great. Got the inducement of it as we just before we closed Asia sessions. So Really, really good inducement, which made it a little bit tricky, but we also then pushed up and took out Asia high. So we can straight away go, awesome. We've got Asia high sellers in, immediate target to be able to buy through. Coming into the session, Frankfurt ripped all the way down and took out Asia low. So now we've got target and now we've got a point of inducement. We can look to use an area like supply to demand area if we got that sort of mitigation, but just focusing on that inducement on its own is enough. Even though it didn't have a bit of a break high, it would have been preferred, but even though it didn't, it's perfectly fine. We can still look to use that as a medium inducement. So we got that straight off the bat. A couple of different ways you can then dissect this. No, that point obviously shouldn't hold. So we can look to buy directly here, or we can look to buy through this, targeting that high that took Asia high. So, but very, very condensed range, very tight. So the chances of being able to get an entry inside of here are pretty well slim to none. Just push straight through it. So nothing to better work with there. All good, no stress. Very valid area though, nonetheless. Ended up getting that bit of a sell through, and the news did the work to push us higher to obviously target that point up there. So nothing we can do with that. Obviously, New York session. Sweet. All right. This area here for what's that, Wednesday? Good inducement. Obviously, we've got that massive, also like probably hourly, even visible to the 4 hour, more than likely two leg there. So we've got that inducement. Obviously, bearish range as well. So we've got a lot of sellers up inside that area. We've also got our 15-minute two leg liquidity target. So coming into timing, got the inducement of both those points on timing, which is great. The issue with trying to sell here, obviously one being against the momentum post-inducement, but also as well just our lack of targets that we've got as we're pushing up. We don't really have anywhere for a break even. Like you'd have to use this area as your break-even target. I like to be able to have a 5 minute range though. It's my break-even target. I just find the liquidity that it holds is best. So I would have been looking to use something like that as my break-even. And yeah, if we understand that that's our 5 minute leg really until there, it's pretty fucking massive 5 minute leg. So not the greatest, obviously just clearly against momentum, but nonetheless, if it did set up, it would have been worth definitely looking at and taking a setup out of there. So valid area, just no entry again. Cool. And then New York. So I know Josh. Yeah, it was, yeah. This is where you took your buy, I believe. I was actually looking for sells. So I found it quite funny actually. I remember in the chat on this night you were like sending in the buys and you're like, oh Brad, you're active. You're trying to sell against me. But Brad wasn't, but I was. So I was like, all right, let's just fucking setting up good for a sell here. So in terms of sells, what we had, um, liquidity to at a target. We've got Asia lows built up there. We've got major inducement up here as well. And obviously reversal for the day. So the area to better sell from, and I actually didn't have this area marked out until literally session open because it's so small. There wasn't really much there to be able to work with. I didn't even have it on my radar until I was like, oh, price is reacting a little bit from here. What have we got? So you obviously had the little bit of a pullback here, which did create the break of this high. But the reason I had it as a smart money trap is one, it's obviously very, very small. But because it hasn't really taken any liquidity, it's more or less actually built some equal lows just there. And if we understand post break, both breaks, we don't really have any liquidity. There's no retest. It's had quite a quick sell off back down to it as well. So just knowing that at this point it hasn't taken liquidity, we've taken heaps of liquidity here, got no liquidity to take into it, and I didn't really generate any liquidity on this pullback. I know that, okay, cool. If I've got no liquidity to target, where is the liquidity? The liquidity is going to be in the demand. So that's where I was looking at that point to be able to sell through. I believe if I remember correctly from what you're looking at, you were just looking for a short-term buy anyway, up to here. Yeah, yeah, which made perfect sense. So I was looking at this in a way of, all right, we're either going to come up here and sell off, or I was watching like super, super closely up until about here, or even, yeah, no, there. I was watching super, super close as we were pushing up. So it was looking good. It was just stepping up quite nice. I was like, sweet, we're on. There was heaps of times I was like, when were we here? I was like, yep, I'm on. Break again. I'm like, nah, that's sweet. Come down here. I was like, yep, we're on. Nah. Then I was like, here again. Yep, we're on. Nah. It was all over. So it was yeah, just a demand that I wasn't expecting to hold based on liquidity is the simplicity of that. But yeah, so I've got it as a valid area, just no entry. But your 1 minute read was clean. The only thing that you could really look at, because I believe from memory you had your first entry here, following off with one inducement, two inducement, if I'm correct. Okay, yeah, all good. Can I mute because there's background noise, or is it not letting you? Not letting. What? Bro, you'd think for how long I've been doing this, you'd think I'd have Zoom. Yeah, you should be able to unmute.
Oh, I can now. It
You
didn't before.
can?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sweet. Sweet.
Yeah, just covering the actual low and
Yep.
going break even as soon as it hits that high. It was like a very short term play,
Yep.
just
Yep,
to
for
get to
sure.
break even and then see what happens.
Yeah. Yep. No, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, it's definitely one where you want to be aggressive on the break even, but I feel like as well, just make sure if you are gonna take a setup, just give it its room to breathe. Give it its room to breathe. Cover your inducements. So if we think last inducement's here, sweet, all right, cool. Let's wait till we get another inducement. Just something to consider. Wait till we get another inducement, even something like little inducement there, break, new range, cool, above my break even. Now I can go to break even. Just something to consider. It's how I always manage mine is either take liquidity that would be enough to potentially push price back through my confirmations, or wait till I've got a new protected point of structure outside of my break even. So then that way I'm covered there. I've given the trade room to manipulate. I've given it room to be able to mess about however it wants. But obviously, whatever your data tells you, go with. But yeah,
I don't have a lot of data on SMTs, but uh,
yeah, yeah,
just from what we're seeing Brad take on SMTs, because
yeah,
like if that's your supply,
mm,
and then I went off like a really like two leg down, internal break. This is super aggressive. In
yeah,
at that point, not holding BE here, but holding BE up here. As soon as it
yeah,
breaks with supply, then saying like, well, you have to go break even. But then
yeah,
you've got this one range. Like, of course, it can come down, mitigate demand, and keep going.
yeah,
So just yeah, it always feels too tight. But
yeah,
that's what I'm seeing people take. So I don't know if Matt
yeah.
has other reads on it, but
Yeah, yeah, for
yeah,
sure. Just once you've got data on it, just go back and check back through it. Go through all of your break evens and then just see, all right, cool. What's a common denominator
yeah,
amongst all of them?
yeah, cool.
And that'll really help you to be able to determine, the best approach to it. Because yeah, that's you want to give them the room to manipulate. Because yeah, obviously that can be an inducement. But if we're
Mm.
expecting this to hold, we should be expecting that to hold. It's like one and the other, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, so yeah, just gauging
See,
it.
Josh, your where you manipulate, had that two leg down, where your entry was where Dill has his,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
that two
fine.
leg there.
Yeah.
That was your manipulation, was it?
Yeah, but you don't have to
Yeah, like
say it like it does.
I would wait for manipulation like at the top of that range. that
At
one
the
minute
top.
range
Okay.
rather than, yeah. So you're looking for the manipulation through the next supply, whereas where you have that, it's not really in a supply or anything like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That would be my read on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Only just nipped it, eh?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty gross, hey.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
Yeah.
she's aggressive.
Like I probably wouldn't,
Aggressive.
yeah, see that as that. Yeah, it did just nip that supply, but
It's
yeah,
very
I would
yeah.
like want a bit of either a higher, a bigger range, or have that manipulation a bit higher up in that range.
Yeah. Yeah, even the two leg there, it's
Is
only
what
five.
I would
Yeah,
want to see in a situation like that.
yeah,
Yeah,
cool. Cool, cool. That actually makes more sense.
Just a few
yeah.
things to obviously consider with. And then you had your re-entry as well. It was here.
Yeah, exactly the same thing. Like looking at the next point, which isn't really like I've marked that out as
Yeah.
a smart money trap, but it's not really a significant point by any means.
Yeah.
Maybe a 5 minute, but it's not even the 5 minute. And then like very clean two legs. So I really like the two leg,
Yes.
very clear intention. And
Yes.
the internal push up. I was just about to delete the limit too because I thought it was about to break through that two leg, but then it
Yeah.
came down to tag in and go. So I was like, oh, cool. Like that's more what I want to see.
Yeah.
And again, a break even, and then off it went.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, the break even on that one. This is a really good example. This one's a little bit different because it's so aggressive. Like I can understand more of an aggressive break even. But this one, given that you're pretty reasonable 1 minute structure to work with on this one. Like I would personally consider this like more of just like a 30-second entry that's just visible to the 1 minute. Whereas like this is 1 minute price action, if you get what I mean.
Absolutely.
S-
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
so given that we've got a bit more to be able to work with on a setup like this, really giving it that room to breathe, especially if you actually dissect this and you go, cool, right, we're starting to work our way back up here. We've got supply to demand area covered that low, yeah. Cool. And then it's like, all right, what have we got inside of our entry? Well, we've got a bit of liquidity.
Yeah.
So if price were to induce that internal supply to demand and push up, would that still be valid? Like
Oh,
that?
actually, I had my low here because I had to have an inducement covering an inducement.
Oh,
So I did
fuck.
break,
Okay.
which and then yeah, so I had to have that.
Yep.
And
Yep.
then, and I was like, look, it's
The
not
entry.
ideal at eight
Gotcha.
pips, but it's the theory of I'm covered by an inducement. I'm in an area that I want to go on.
Yeah.
But it's probably not enough now to get my 3R because I would surpass the next medium inducement at like 2.2. That next little
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
You'd be
yeah, like
going
that.
there.
Yeah, that's like the next logic. That's where I'd be targeting.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
does get there, but it does get there. So that's
Yeah.
cool. But
Yeah.
I got nicked at BE anyway.
Yeah, yeah. So one like this, especially if you're anticipating the potential of it coming down to induce this so that you do have an inducement inside of your entry, if that's now valid for an entry, well, we want to keep that same validity through our break-even approach. If we know that it can induce and still be valid and still go, let's wait for it to induce. And so let's give it the room to actually do that manipulation. If that's part of our confirmation or part of our reasoning behind our stop loss approach and
Yep.
positioning, keep that same room for it to breathe.
Yep.
Um, Even moving it up, no, okay, cool, I've got an inducement point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just still giving it room to have an
I
inducement
did
point.
move it up as soon as it. Oh, and actually, no, I went full BE. Yeah, but in my mind,
Okay.
I'm like that's the next logical place that you'd move it because you're still covered by an inducement.
Yep, yep. So yeah, having it to there, even where it is, either would be fine. But like, all right, cool. Let's wait for it to induce, wait for it to induce.
I actually went full BE when it went above this SMT. Like that was the whole supply area. So I
Yep.
actually held through here,
Okay. Yep.
broke through, and then the current rule I have is once it goes through the supply, you just have to go
Yeah.
BE. And but
Yeah.
now my range is still totally BE-able because
Yeah.
like there's no room.
Yes, yeah, of course. Of course. Once you've got 3 months worth of data of that break-even approach,
Sure, sure.
go back through all of it and
Yeah, cool.
reflect about, cool, is this, and like literally work it out RR wise, like on
Yeah,
every single setup. How do I've gone break even? How do I not? And see
yeah,
where
yeah,
where you're gonna sit. Because this is where they can be a head fuck, and this is where like it can be painful with the way that I go break even because you're watching this come down through and you're like, induce something, induce something, induce something,
yeah,
please. And then it doesn't, and then it
yeah.
pushes, and you're like, fuck, I still have to hold this thing.
Yeah.
It's like, really? And then you still have to hold. And then it's like, all right, cool. Until I take something of value. So for me, it's 5 minute liquidity. That's why I need like 5 minute structure. That's a break even point. So until I've taken a 5 minute liquidity or something of that sort of strength or formed a new range, I've still just got to hold this in. Like, yeah, you can move your stop loss up to your next protected point.
Mm.
Um,
Also
but
got now.
you've got, yeah, so now
I was
you've got,
like,
all right, cool. So we
oh
can come
my.
down. We've got liquidity we can induce. So at the take of that would be very fair
Yeah,
to
okay.
go break even.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, Even at this point, like you could go to there. You've got a couple of points,
Yeah.
and it's very, very filled down inside there as well. You
Yeah.
could
If it's
even
coming
look
down
at
that low, then yeah.
two leg, break, retest. You could view that as protected, and that now is a new range. So you could just literally have it below that wick.
Yeah.
Um, Wait for some sort of manipulation and then continuation. So
Mm.
um, yeah, just explore it. Just
Yeah, cool.
explore it. Monitor it all, take all the notes, see what it looks like after 3 months of data. But yeah, they're my couple of
Thank you.
tips and that's all right. Sweet. Forgot we were even doing a recap for a minute there, eh? Cool. All right. Where are we? Thursday, London. Sweet. Um, yeah, so we're inside that daily supply now at this point. Obviously it's a huge supply. But in terms of what we've got, so we've got obviously that bigger break there, the internal break here. We've now got that retest, which is really nice as it did have that little break there. Got a world of liquidity up above to be able to target. So coming into the session, we've got this more so like supply to demand, which took internal liquidity, and we've got that inducement into the mitigation as well. Pretty aggressive coming into it, which I don't love. I really don't like it when it does that, but we're not too like it's a pretty big range, but it's not too bad. Like you can work with it. For an entry, it was looking really good initially. It was looking like we're on for just a fucking super basic, vanilla entry, but we were looking like we were going to get two breaks was looking really good. Break even point would have just been the inducement of that or just waiting for the high. Obviously didn't get that. Can't sell through it though, as it's super valid as the demand ends up pushing through it. And then yeah, nothing more from there. Do notice this though, that a lot of the time when you do have, regardless of what happens inside of like this area, when you do have this at the extreme of your leg, a lot of the time they don't hold. So it's something that I'm actually collecting data on at the moment. Cool. And then obviously that was news. So again, nothing to work with there. Sweet. All right. Friday. A lot of liquidity being built up here. This news week made it really painful. Had that same sort of 15-minute inducement there. We were reacting out of like this demand area, but to me that demand didn't take any liquidity. So to me, that's an area that I wouldn't look to trade out of. So I was more so expecting that to be a smart money trap to induce into the mitigation of this point, which did take obviously liquidity running across there and had that manipulation. So we got that break to the upside. I was happy to sell here. Obviously, there's no entry there. Coming into the session, you did have this point here, which had taken liquidity and was a demand to supply area, and had a bit of retest sitting up inside of it in the way of that news week. So It's annoying when you get the news week like that. It makes it really difficult. But I was happy to use that as an internal inducement. Building up liquidity, stepping our way up, it's looking good. Got that inducement, and then there, this is where Matt managed to get in, and I tried to get in, but couldn't get in. Stalling price, really nice sharp push to the upside. Really quick break, complete retracement, and I had it set here, I believe, yeah, 2.5. I had it set there. I don't like trying to decipher this too much. I'll just go at my last point of where the imbalance is, or you can go off the break. I know Matt went off the break. How you managed to get in a bra, I'm still baffled because that just whipped through so quickly. Obviously, got the tiniest little bit of retest there. I moved my entry down to that retest, but then she just left. So yeah, well done for getting in that bra. You fucking
I
must have,
must have timed it to the absolute like
bro.
nanosecond. I have no idea.
Yeah,
Yeah, just
yeah,
that's a fluke entry on that. Like just because of how quick it wicked up and down. That must
yeah.
have just been like, oh, just
You timed
proper
it
luck. But
perfectly, eh?
yeah,
Must have timed it perfectly just to be able to get
yeah,
it at a point where, like, not even spread or anything didn't allow
yeah,
you to get that
yeah.
entry
It
on.
entered me on the break. Yeah, like
Yeah,
because I'm only. That's right. Like I'm way down the book in terms of where orders are getting put in. But
yeah. It's
yeah, don't
crazy.
know.
It's crazy. Even just what was open in the order book at the time, like that's just yeah.
Mm.
Wicked timing to better get in that. But yeah, very, very valid entry. Just simple, straightforward, two breaks, break even point down here. Simple, or obviously once you get that massive sell-off induced supply to demand. Um, yeah, clean, clean, clean. I like to go break even pretty quickly when you do get those big sell-offs, especially when you don't have a lot of liquidity left. Like they either go or they don't. Um, Yes, that was quite clean. Even with that, so this is not a bad example, Josh, of what I was saying of like forming a new range. So we've got a bit of like a two leg here, and now we've got a break. So now we've at least got a manipulation of buyers in here forming that new range. So it's like outside of our break even. I prefer it to be like an actual like break, but you can use a two leg as well. So either way, regardless on this one, break even there. And then she obviously pulled back up through and avoided the loss. Avoiding a loss is always just as good as a win.
And to Matt's idea earlier, that two leg is not in that supply because otherwise you could just say two leg up, break down, and you set the sell limit, like an SMT sell limit there would be
Yeah.
valid because you have that, and then you kind of set that, which is
Yeah.
not a good limit, but
Yeah. Yeah,
hypothetically,
that's it.
but because it's such low down on the range, then I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying, but it looks bad.
Yeah, positioning is key, eh? Positioning is key.
Yeah.
Give you room for break evens and yeah, makes such a big difference. Cool. So I'll get rid of that. And then obviously we had news on the Friday night. So yeah, all in all, quite a slow week. Obviously, valid break even there. This was more or less a setup of the week. Just really annoying that it came an hour post session and had taken a bit of liquidity. Even if you ignore the liquidity, because it did still have heaps underneath, just an hour post session is for continuation is just fucking annoying. But yeah, all in all, quiet, typical mid-August week. But yeah, all part of the fun. Did you guys have any questions or anything you just want me to touch on with any of that before I do the group data? Oops. No, all sweet. Oh, geez, sweet. Cool. Discord. Cool. Data, Lucas. Fuck yeah, bro. Good then, Matt. Three trades to break even. One half loss. Was away for work. Okay, yeah, sweet. Aggressive entry and sell target liquidity, reactive investment T, full interest insurance, managed risk and breaking point pretty early true to it. Oh yeah, that's the one we went over already, eh? Yeah. Yeah, sweet. No, good shit. Good shit. Good risk management. Friday, half loss and break even on re-entry. Okay. Siobhan, fuck doing that. Medium inducement, first inducement, marked as kind of shit. Good acknowledgement. It was going from the S&T more than anything. Sweet. Moved us out. A couple I thought was good. Was a good high. Hindsight, lack of on structure, break played a part. Sweet, sweet. That inside here. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah,
Nah, not that one. That
not that
one's
one.
the. Don't think it's that. They uploaded weirdly.
That's all right.
Yeah, so let me
Oh,
fire them
in
up.
here.
Don't know why the date. Yeah, I don't know why they're not showing up right.
That's
But
all
yeah, I think it
right.
was. I think
That's
it was that. I think it was that one. Yeah, it was pretty similar to like what Brad took.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Gotcha. And that was half loss.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a small inducement, eh?
yeah,
It's a small inducement, but at least you can see that though. Like you can actually look back at that and go, all right, cool. It was a small inducement. Could have waited for something a bit more significant, or because it is smaller, like definitely be a bit more aggressive on the break even. So that's sweet. It's all learnings and data, bro. It's all learnings and data. Yeah, better area. Yeah, yeah. Yes, yeah, it's a way better inducement. Way better. I like to like for me this week 432 hertz cut. Yeah, wicked. Fucking oath. I love it.
dude,
Um,
it was good. Except when you guys were all silent in one of the fucking things, and then
yeah.
Brad just fucking so loud, bro, scared the shit out of
Yeah,
me.
fucking oath. It'll do it, eh? Yeah, it's tricky that live trading's hard to concentrate on what you're doing and like speak at the same time. But yeah, the 432 hertz, bro, where yeah, when I'm trading, it's made such a big difference to me. Just keeps you, I don't know, just that white noise and like obviously it does react with you unconsciously. So it does, yeah, helps heaps keep you calm, I reckon. Um, that's a 200 run, that's all right. Yeah, good shit, bro. Good data. I love it. Two trades, one loss, one break even. Looks, see, it's too aggressive given the context. It's coming from low time when confirmations weren't strong enough. Okay, yep. Oh yeah, that's right. We went over that one. Um, yeah, yeah. Nah, sweet, sweet. Obviously that one all makes sense. We've been over that, and then yeah, know about the break even. So good shit, bro.
Yeah,
Can
I just
see.
just needed more lower time confirmations on that. That was from that demand on EU. Then
Yeah,
it induced the demand, and then I was just like FOMOed into it basically.
yeah, yeah. It's just that liquidity versus liquidity, eh?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, what day was that? Day was that?
Thursday, I think.
That was in here, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
So you got your break here. That demand to supply.
yeah,
Yeah, it's just and then I have that as well. Um,
yeah,
yeah, so that for me, 1 minute trend line like is actually an invalidation straight up for me. So I then need something to revalidate it. But yeah, even just like
yeah. Would
excluding,
would have needed
yeah,
to pull all the way back down, induced, and then probably given another inducement out of the mitigation of that 1 minute range for it to be a bit more valid.
yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, even
But
just
yeah, no,
looking like
definitely
size of
FOMO
the
on that one.
break compared to the size of the retest, they don't correlate overly well. But yeah, then you add in obviously that went there and the little bit of order flow. Yeah, it's definitely on the riskier side. It was yeah, like we were saying in the chat, just waiting for something like that or whatever, just any sort of confirmations after the inducement of that, or that would have been better. Like if we came down
Yeah,
and induced that and then fucking even just got a bare bones basic two leg, no inducements, nothing, it would have been sweet. Like it would have been
yeah,
wicked.
yeah. And
Um,
then break even at the high. That would have been such a cleaner entry. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, 100%. 100%. But yeah, just carried a fair bit of risk with that one. Like it could have gone, like it very well. And I think this is like to touch on what Brad's point was with it, is having that low covered, because it very well still could have done that. Like if
Yeah.
it did come down and take that low, it still would have been valid to buy. Um,
Yeah.
so I
Hmm.
think that's the thing with it is like when you're looking at internal points like that, unless it's something like you've got, say, for example, you got that leg here, and then you've got like, and then you've got the retest. So if you have that like really significant breakdown internally into that break, so it's just like it's its own really solid protected low, then covering that is sweet. But if it's something that's not quite as significant, then yeah, covering that. Because if we were to see it do this, okay, and break that low, we'd more than likely go, okay, cool. That's a strong lowest push through. It's more than likely gonna smoke through that now. But
Yeah,
with
100%.
that, it still very well could have mitigated that last 1 minute point, which it sucks when it does, but still could have very well done that. So
Yeah.
definitely
No, it makes sense for sure.
just that room to breathe, eh?
Even that two leg out of that supply is like not it's not even a two leg. So even having a better two leg out of that supply
Yeah.
would have given it less risk because it would have been a bit more indication of buyers getting in control. But
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
um, yeah, like that two leg was nothing. So
Nah,
yeah,
nah, I was
definitely a high
using
risk one.
yeah, it's more like a 30-second two leg really.
I wouldn't take it again. Put it that way.
Yeah, yeah. At least for us learning, eh? It's learning. At least you
Oh
can look
yeah,
back
it
at it and
happens.
go, yeah, okay, I can see where I can see where I went wrong there.
Yeah,
No, it's good. Love it. Yeah, bit of fun. Yeah, sweet. Josh to trades. EU thumbs two. Oh, yep. Obviously went over all that, so that's mad. Really happy with the approach. First time I'm going for a re-entry. Nice, nice. I like it. Back in yourself. That's mad. Breaking protocol back to tree. Yep. Obviously we've been over that as well. So just keep collecting the data. People back. Yep. Yep. Plus comms. Yeah. Explore the going plus comms, and when you do that as well. I like to go plus comms when I'm like more than 50% of the way to my TP. If I'm going for like a 1 to 3 and I'm at like a 1 to 2, I'm covering comms. I ain't losing shit on this. But if I'm
Yeah,
still like 1 to 1 or whatever, like I'm nah.
super early.
I'll wear the comms, but I'll cop the break even. Like I only want to cover comms when I'm like this thing should not turn around. Like this thing's so close to my take profit. I'm not losing shit on this. But when it's still like, all right, cool, I've just gone break even. I'm like, I'm just gonna just
Yeah.
let it breathe. There's nothing worse than exactly that, getting pipped at you because you've covered commissions and then
Yeah.
running to take profit and going, fuck, if I had just left it at break even.
And that's not my style as a trader. Like I've always just let it open. So me
Yeah.
being quite aggressive on BE is new for me. So
Yeah.
I'll find the middle ground.
Yeah, that's it. And that's all it is. It's just a matter of finding that middle ground. And the only way to find the middle ground is to trial it. And because
Yeah.
it's all, it's like there's so many factors that go into it. There's obviously, how you execute on trades, where you have your entry positioned, what your risk appetite's like.
Mm.
There's so many factors that come into it as you as an individual trader that you just have to trial this, trial that, trial this, trial that to find, okay, cool. Well, this suits me, this suits my trade frequency, this suits my entry points. Best, I feel good when I do this approach
Yeah.
rather than the other way of
Yeah.
like, fuck. Finishing one and going, fuck, I wish I should, I could. It's like, all right, cool. I have to get to the root cause of why you're feeling like that because that's like not contentment with your approach as a whole, like your strategy as a whole. You got to find that, middle ground.
Yeah.
3 inches took some on Monday, some story break even. Did we go over that one?
We didn't, but I didn't like the area
Okay,
for
okay, sweet. Break and retest.
it was because there was no other real inducement aside from
Yeah,
yeah, again, questionable two leg. Yeah, just a
yeah.
questionable two leg. I want it to be better than that.
Yeah, yeah, sweet, sweet. Yeah,
Got out of it.
she's pretty tight.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least you
I
covered
got out. I
your
was like, oh, cool, great.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. So you got a little bit of a two leg there for Ireland's height. So you got that little bit there.
That was exactly the thinking. I just thought, it's probably pushing it a bit.
Yeah. So this is where my brain goes, okay, got a little bit of a two leg here, but should this outweigh this? Probably.
I, I supply to demand. A demand to supply coming out of a demand from supply should hold more strength, even though we've just taken a medium inducement. So like the odds are against the buy
Yeah, yeah. Yes, it's coming out of
because that
this
whole
one.
area to go. You've come here. You've mitigated. You failed to break through. So this shouldn't hold.
Correct. Correct.
Hence why I'm going in, but
Yeah,
still
yeah. So this
not
is
great.
where when I'm like working out a point like this, like a smart money point, I don't want to mitigate the point that's pushed into the smart money point, ideally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because then I'm like, well, this also failed to break. So I don't want
Yeah.
to. So
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, cool. I still want to see this not failing, but ideally come down here or stay up here. I don't
Mm.
want to go mitigate, shit point, mitigate, shit point. I'm just going to back this shit point over this shit point.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, obviously that one's yeah quite internally. You've already seen the pointers with it. So no, that's
Mm.
sweet. That's sweet. That's sweet. Um, cool. I'll pause that there.